Hello, this is Mansa Musa. Normally, you will hear my voice on NFM radio. Today, though, I'm here at the studio of NFM television to start a new show, a new program. But before I talk about the topics or subject matter for today's show, let me take a small opportunity to want to wear the tie and all these things. You see what I mean? But television demands that, television etiquette. That you have to look, be good. So I'm looking good today. But the studio is superb. The setting, in a room in this industrial business center. Everything here, as I've told so many people, look, the radio studio and the television studio, we are situated where we have what we call free car parking. Can you believe it? In London, free car park. So anytime you'll be fortunate enough to get invited to come and do, perform a show or, to come and help us discuss issues, I will ask you to come. We are situated where we have what we call free car parking. Can you believe it? In London, free car park. So anytime you'll be fortunate enough to get invited to come and do, perform a show or, to come and help us discuss issues, I will ask you to come with your car, motorbike, whatever, because, the walking about 200-300 meters from the tube station to the studio premises. If it's raining, you're going to be in trouble. So it's better you come with your car. And believe me, I'm telling you, you will enjoy the ride because you get free parking and peace of mind. Now then, for today, Mansa Musa, I'm going to do a little bit of a mixed bag. What it is we're going to talk about everything and anything. This program, though, is called Straight Talk. Straight Talk in its actual true sense. There's no time here for obfuscation. There's no time for ambiguities. And there's no time for double speak. You say it as it is. No insults, though. But we have to speak truth to power. Like I said, today, it's all about everything that has gone on over the week, the past month, and, what is even happening today. This program will tackle almost everything you can think of. We will talk about politics, geopolitics, current affairs, showbiz, music, dancing, sports. The management will invite, top personalities from all angles. Like I said, sports, personalities, music, show business people, even business people, church leaders and the rest of them. They will all come and share this beautiful setting with me one day to discuss everything that needs to be discussed. So once again, let me welcome you to this NFM beautiful, beautiful settings, NFM television. Mansa Musa being your host, one and the only, with my producers and management team. You are welcome to the show. Now, recently, or let's say the past 2-3 days or so, Ghanaians, all what we've been doing is to celebrate the life of Osagefo, our own Osagefo. For me, Mansa Musa, I will say this, that it looks as if, or it looks as though the lip service is getting in the way. A lot of people are, a lot of people are talking. People are saying they are from Nkrumah, they trust Nkrumah, they understand Nkrumah. People are saying they believe and belong to the CPP, that's Nkrumah's party, Conventional People's Party. For me, all is good. Everyone, after all, in politics, the many, the better. So if people say they belong to Nkrumah, it's all well and good. But we still have, can you imagine, we still have some people, even today, who want to cast some doubtful shadows over Nkrumah and Nkrumah's achievement. Can you believe that even with all this hindsight, people still don't see that Nkrumah and his ideals were totally correct. For me, Mansa Musa, not a single thing that Nkrumah did that I would say was wrong. The man didn't do anything wrong. At the time, what he wanted to do, his plans, his projections. So when you hear some people say, but that one party state was wrong, and I'll come to that. Look, we have top historians. Recently, I interviewed one lawyer, Anoche. He's in Ghana. He's a top historian. He speaks, very eloquently. He understands history of Ghana. And he has, over the past few months, told us all there is to know about Osagefo Dr Kwame Nkrumah. I said previously that even with the hindsight, when people condemned Osagefo in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and 90s, we would say, okay, all right, maybe that at that time, people had not seen, had not read, have not listened to. We didn't know exactly what the guy meant for Ghana and for Africa, for humanity. But in this day and age where you can get Nkrumah's speeches, his spoken message and his written messages, with the number of practical things that Osagefo did, is there anything that should convince anyone again that Osagefo meant very well for his country, his people? Is there anything? Because look, let's take for instance, in the 60s, early 60s, how many people were equipped with the brain or the capacity to interrogate economics and finances? Those were the time that Osagefo, if he was crooked, he was crooked like today's leaders. That was the time Osagefo could have just siphoned a lot of money, just taking the money and hid it somewhere for his family and his family, his children and his grandchildren. Osagefo rather decided that use all the money to build industries, to start building a country. I'm rushing you into this because we all know it already. For those doubting Thomases, goodness me, just rest it, leave it alone. You are not winning. Osagefo, imagine if he was like this, our current leadership in Africa, he would have just hidden the monies and no one would have, known anything better. Instead, he built roads, he built schools, University of Science and Technology. At that time, its kind, the first in the world, science and technology. Because Osagefo knew that for the country to prosper, to progress, we will need people with brains. Not only people who can read and write about the Bible and sing praises to God. No, but people who can read and write science and technology. The industries, the factories, it was an investment into the future. Unfortunately, his people didn't have that capacity. That thinking capacity to know that these things Osagefo was building is for the future. So imagine, Osagefo said, look, all what we got to do, like the Western or the industrial progressive nations had done by that time, let's build our industrial base. Let's produce at least what we ourselves consume, right? So we need paper. We need paper to do everything. We need paper for education, for everything. So let's get our own paper factory. We need food, processing plants. Let's produce the food that we eat for ourselves. Then the foreign currency that we need or we may be able to generate, we use that one to maybe import things that we cannot produce for ourselves, things that we can produce in the country. Osagefo did all these things. Osagefo again knew that, look, as Africans, small, emancipated, politically emancipated new countries, new states, if they got together and made sure they thought all what they did together, so that when you need cocoa and you go to Ivory Coast, Africans will tell you that a bag of cocoa will cost you, let's say, 10 pounds or $10. If you come to Ghana, it's the same 10 pounds or $10. We'll discuss in detail the meaning of Osagefo. But for those of you who are saying that the lip service, I said it before and I'll repeat it. To me, those whose ancestors tormented the Osagefo today, those people living, whose ancestors tormented Osagefo, I cannot play with them today. I cannot enjoy food with them. So if I see anybody or hear anybody who says he loves Nkrumah, he loves Osagefo, he believes in CPP and its ideology, and the same people are now dancing and fraternizing with the people whose ancestors betrayed Nkrumah, I find it very hard to believe and understand. Isn't right. It isn't. Because Nkrumah himself was so godly, Nkrumah didn't know. He realized maybe very, very late. Why is it that somebody like Pa Grant, the fellow who formed the UGCC, the fellow who started it, one chief or a king from, I've forgotten where from, the history, his name is Asmani, who actually, what we call, captured the fort. Is it the Danes or the Dutch? Captured them. Our history is dotted with so many great men and women who in time past, decided that, look, these our foreign, the white people who had come to the Gold Coast had nothing good for them, and that they needed to fight them or do away with them, the white people. You see, then we have to bring all of them into the equation. But the fact is, Osagefo in contemporary history, in the modern settings, he brought about the knowledge, the idea that Ghana should be Ghana as it is today. Not the Penny Oforiata, not the JB Danquas, not the business. No. They objected. History tells us too that when it came to the voting or the election, for the voting rather for a referendum, the consensus to come to a point if Ghana should be a republic. This group called Matimihu Group, they objected it. They rejected it. They didn't want it. So today, how have we managed to make them part of the founding fathers of the country when they didn't contribute? Now, let's say Osagefo became a wicked fella and, one party state and everything. Let me ask one question. When the assassination attempt and the rest was carried out multiple times, 7 or 8 times, there is not, or somebody should show me one single, one single historical document which shows, or even a newspaper cuttings, which shows that any of them, BJB, Lamte, JB Dankwa, Buzia, all the top guys, which of them actually came out to say that, hey, even though we don't agree with Nkrumah and his ideologies, whoever is attempting to assassinate him, it should stop, it's wrong. And that investigation, when it's carried out, whoever is doing that should be dealt with. Tell me one single of those people we call the big six and the rest of them, which of them raised objection to what Nkrumah was going through with regards to attempts on his life? Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you for free that when it comes to Osagefo, we Ghanaians, we had it and we blew it. When it comes to Osagefo, I'm telling you, we Ghanaians had it and we blew it. Someone who could convince a white person to bring his technology free. A white man's technology. That time, atomic technology was the highest at that time, at its time, that period. The science and the technology about atomic, reactors and the rest, it was the top. And the British and the Danes and the Danish and the French and even the Americans, all those people who had colonized us, those people who had oppressed us for almost 400 years, Britain, if Britain had that atomic energy science, they wouldn't bring it to any African to study. No way. Osagefo was able to convince the Soviet Russians to bring atomic energy to Ghana. As we say, we before. This, imagine, if we got stuck into it, if our kids those days, if the young pioneer group, that young pioneer which was created to build future, how do I say it, a future generation of patriots. A generation of patriots, because when Nkrumah knew, he knew that most of Ghanaians, about 80 to 90%, they were coming from the colonial, what we call it, the colonial times. Their mindset was different. Their mindset didn't actually embrace, the new sort of sensibilities, a new country and its, and a new country and how it should be governed. In that many people at that time, they believe in, that kind of thing, that kind of sentiment. So Nkrumah had to train new generation, young men and women, so that in future they will only think and know only about Ghana. What was wrong with that? What was wrong with that? Nkrumah was able to convince the Soviet to bring their technology. What did the Americans and the British brought us? Apart from colonization, oppressing us for all these hundreds of years, Britain would never bring you that high level of technology to an African, black African. No. What Britain and Americans brought to us is to change our culture. America brought a new culture, dancing, singing, I feel good, I feel good, that sort of thing. Then they brought a dongari. Today they call it jeans. They brought canvas, shoes, milk powder, rice. Those sort of things. Things that we should provide, produce by ourselves. Now Americans were bringing it. And more so they bring them the Bible. The Bible, the idea there. When Osagefo, he knew that technology is the way forward, or was the way forward. The British and their people knew that, hey, these guys are getting too wise. And as they say, the biggest tool in the hands, of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. So if we, the oppressed, our mind was scheduled, was tuned to follow, what the oppressor wants us to follow, it is easier for the oppressor then. So they brought us the Bible and a new culture, how to dress, how to speak, how to dance. Like I said, I feel good. That's what we all did. When I was a kid, I wanted to listen more to funky music and those kind of things. It's later on in life, in the stage, I came to know about reggae, started to listen to Bob Marley and the words he spoke and everything. So as for Osagefo, I can go on till the cows come to, grace. But I'm telling you, the guy did no wrong. He was the best to have. Even today, when people start saying, for Ghana, we are safe because we are peaceful. Look, it didn't come by chance. We being peaceful and law abiding relatively didn't just happen just like that. It is the way Osagefo brought us up. You look around us, all the countries in West Africa and even in Africa, all the countries that were led by fools, they were led by their first leadership wasn't like Osagefo. We had some leaders in Africa who actually governed and ruled, based on ethnic consideration, tribalistic considerations and everything. If he belongs to this tribal group, that tribal group will enjoy everything. We had them in Nigeria, in Gabon, in Central Africa, in Cote d'Ivoire, other places. It's Osagefo who said that, hey, let's educate the northern part of our country to bring them up to a certain level. And he got, he actually brought everybody from anywhere of the geographical Ghana into his governance. So it is his. In fact, imagine if Osagefo didn't win independence, let's say JB Dankwa would have made an Akan state. And most of his people will only be Akan and Achimfo and everything, Ashanti Matimi group. That's it. So we are not fighting, we are not, we don't have civil war because Osagefo was our leader. Get it? I'll take a quick break, then we'll come and talk about what is happening currently in Ghana with all this corruption. This program is called Straight Talk. We have leaders who are stealing. They are stealing. As we speak, we have people who have millions and millions and millions of dollars hidden. I'll be back. Welcome back. I needed to stand because you see, when you sit plenty too, it's not good. You rest too much. So I'm standing a bit. Well, when my legs begin to give up on me, I'll go and sit down. Don't worry about it. But coming back to the show now, today is not into detail. As for Osagefo, I need to go into details a bit. But the program Straight Talk is not just talking without facts. So when I say corruption, for instance, is the perception. The perception in Ghana today, especially, is that a lot of corruption activity goes on, and that isn't good for anybody. We'll talk about the governance, the style of governance that is going on in my country, Ghana. I will find people, I'll get people to come and discuss with them. Obviously, some will be my own points of view, and sometimes you may not agree. Well, maybe it may not be factual. If I go too deep and it becomes, it turned out not to be the case, I will quickly revert and maybe apologize. But I know that most of the things that I will be talking about and others will be talking about with me over here at NFM television, in subsequent times, in days and weeks to come, most of it will be factual. Let me explain or remind you that from next week, I will be inviting anybody who wants to be invited, including politicians from all sides, NPP, NDC, and others. So I know that the NDC, for instance, have their protracted executive elections here in the UK. Apparently, the elections will come on in October, I think October 7th or something like that. So, yeah, the contestants or the candidates for various positions will be invited to come, and please, when you get an invite, please do come. Come, sit down and talk. The studio does not belong to one person or one entity. I mean, it's not by only NDC or NPP, for everyone. Even Mansa Musa, I have my personal preference. I mean, how do I put it? My personal opinion on so many things. But it doesn't mean everything I say or my opinion should be what everyone should follow. No. So please, when you are invited, you are competing or you are contesting for a position in NDC UK Ireland chapter, and you are invited for a chairman or vice chairman or whatever you are invited, please do come and sit down with me in a very beautiful radio setting here at NFM television, and let's all discuss together. You know what I mean? It's straight talk. So the questions we ask and you have to talk straight. No obfuscation. Obfuscation. The word obfuscation. No. And there won't be any ambiguity. No. No double speak too. So we'll discuss those things. Then in time we'll invite showbiz people. I've already spoken to somebody like Kofi Kinata. Kofi Kinata. There's a lady, beautiful lady, musician from Gambia called Sona Jobate. Then our own Wiala. We are going to get all of them here very soon, to discuss showbiz. I mean, Mansa Musa, I am all in all, everything. I can even do a bit of concert, something to even make you laugh. You see, so much hardship, so much, perceived dissatisfaction among the Ghanaian crowd, so much so that the youth have decided to demonstrate, to go on the march. As we say, the street speak for that is that the youth have hit the town. They've hit the streets. And for me, Mansa Musa, I'm very happy indeed, because I've already told you several times that, look, here in UK and in Europe, when the youth are not happy with you, they hit the streets. The youth in UK and Europe, they can bring a political party to power. One will say, maybe the police had the right, but even, let's take, for instance, let's just accept it that the gathering, those who assembled were wrong and that the police were right. I thought the first thing the police to do is to use what we call it, loudspeaker to address the crowd and tell them to disperse. You ask them to disperse first, even if you have. But this, in our case, we saw them. The police just went in, started arresting people and taking them away. In the end, what we call reason has prevailed. Reason and common sense has prevailed. And so, even though the weather has not been kind, the youth, young men and women, have protested vehemently. I've seen one iconic picture of a young boy, maybe 9, 10, standing between the protesters and the police barrier, police cordon, fortified police cordon, fortified. And the young fella, about, 10 or whatever years, just standing there raising his fist up. Very iconic, picture. You see, the governance that is pertaining in our countries in Africa, the sort of governance which is making our youth swear and get, determined to leave, to flee, to run away. So much so that you hear this sort of comments from refugees, some who have just escaped from, near death. Everything is of the third world and even lesser value in our countries. Everything. And yet the opulence, the lavish lifestyle of our leaders and the leadership. When I say leaders and leadership, you see, those people who contribute to the formation of the governance. For instance, the ministers, their deputies, appointees. These people are living a life that, the life that should be lived by top-class footballers. The point is, in any case, you see, we don't live in utopian, or let's say, yes, we've got to be pragmatic. I mean, whatever you do, ministers and people who are in charge of running a country, and they will live, relatively better lives than ordinary people. We understand. But where the difference in quality of life is so big, is so vast, that people, the ordinary people feel all what they have to do, their salvation is not in their homelands. Their salvation is far away. They have to run away. And our leadership don't seem to know, or don't seem to care. I mean, look at the situation still going on between the Tunisians, Libya, and then the south of, the south of Italy and Greece and all those places where migrants are fleeing on flimsy boats. They are dying in their numbers in the Mediterranean. And now it looks like the European Union or the Europeans are fed up, they are tired, they don't want to see so many blacks in their countries anymore. So they want to do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, you ask me, what are the African leaders saying, talking, or doing about this mass migration problem? This mass dangerous migration program. How many times have you heard the ECOWAS speak about how our youth are running away and the dangers they face? How many times? You see? So we are living in a parallel sort of lives in say West Africa. We have the people at the top of the tree, the governors, the rulers. They live a different life. They fly in private jets. They talk big talk. Look at recently. Recently, there was a coup in Niger. This coup has turned out to be a revolution. Many people have come to realize that, look, these French-speaking countries in West Africa, they are trying to extricate, they're trying to remove the yoke. They are trying to free themselves, proper freedom from France, the country. Then we had leaders from Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria thinking about sending soldiers to go and fight Niger. Because the Nigerians have dared to defy France. Osagefo in his grave will be shaking. Say, goodness me, my people. Goodness me. You see, so in generality, I dwell more on current affairs and politics because that's what I do best. But this program, Straight Talk, is not going to only be about politics. Like I said, sometimes I'll bring a footballer here. On some few occasions, if you remember, I've interviewed, seasoned legends like Kukudazi, footballer. I've interviewed previously. I interviewed Abdul Razak. I like those kind of people, because the modern day players, they also have their space. But I want to introduce and bring in our former legends, Listen, you got to come here to this studio and realize how comfy it is. How many cameras? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then the others are out there. How many screens? Look at the lighting. Anyway, I'm now getting paranoid. But if I can get my producer, he'll be showing the camera off everywhere. But seriously speaking, I'm telling you, we are going to be better. And everywhere, because the subject matter is what is important. It's not just about, we are canine. No. We will analyze things properly. We will analyze things properly here. That's why if you think you are tough, if you think you have what it takes, don't be afraid. Sometimes you can come and put me in my place. Hey, Mansa Musa, take it easy. Maybe I'll call it the whole truth. I will accept it. But when you are hiding behind a media, what we call social media, Facebook and WhatsApp, I know 1 or 2 people. I'm not going to mention your name. I'm not going to give you that privilege that, I'm not going to raise your profile if you mention you. But you know yourselves. Come and talk to Mansa Musa in this cozy studio of NFM television. I don't know. Otherwise, as we say, but just know that NFM radio is there. You hear my voice. NFM television is here to stay. I will repeat, it's a beautiful, beautiful studio, and it's a welcoming place Because here in the UK, if you drive a car, wherever you go, you are thinking about where to park. We have a free parking space or spaces. If I say space, maybe we catch one. No, spaces. I'm waiting for all of you. Until next week, we bring you somebody, maybe either NDC fellow or NPP. Have a good week.